Hi guys, and welcome back to another Dirt Race video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 21. Our final round of our Moto 2 World Championship is upon us, and it's right here in Valencia. So starting in pole position is Fernandez with Gardner Lowe's in the front row, Bezzecchi, Ben Schneider and Fernandez on the second, Fabio Di Giannantonio, Dixon, Arbolino, Roberts, Vieje, Canet, Navarro, Agura, Vietti, Schrotter, Manzi, Grant, Bobier, Ramirez, Baldassari, Syrian, Luti, Chantra, Arenas, Corsi, Buliga, Montella, Barry Baltas, Hector Gartho and Lorenzo Dalla Porta at the back of the grid. So starting from 18th place, the only way we can go in that is forward. Away we go as the red lights disappear. Power setting 3, let's see if we can get ourselves into some decent points paying positions, but for the time being, 18th place start is not looking too grand, but braking quite hard. Now we're going into turn 1 for the Jorge Martinez Aspar. Marcos Ramirez practically alongside us there, as we're going to try and get into a bit of a scrap here with a couple of riders. Celestino Vietti is ahead of us. It looks like Fernandez took the... Oh my goodness, what a bump there. Collision from Marcos Ramirez. I was just about to mention that Raul Fernandez took the whole shot going into turn 1 and is now leading quite comfortably from Remy Gardner and Sam Lowe's. But what a hit from Marcos Ramirez. That was certainly a big collision going into the Mick Doohan corner, and that has really scuppered our chances. I did feel like we had a good start there, but we're not quite as good as I wanted. I would have hoped to be in the top 10 by now. But for the time being, it's not too bad, of course. On the left-hand side, we go now for Afflicción, turn 7, left-hand side at once more for turn 8, and we've ran it wide. A little bit hesitant going into that particular corner after the mistakes we have made, as Joe Roberts now takes over 13th place. Now we're going to have to be careful there. We did just exceed track limits, so we'll be given our first warning of the races. Now Fabio Di Giannantonio tries to dive for the inside, going into turn 11. We are getting quite beaten up here. I don't know why I'm struggling so much going into this particular Grand Prix. The bike just feels so sluggish and so slow. I'm not really sure why that is. I don't seem to have any oomph or any give. But we should be okay. I think we can bounce back. We just let the tyres come to us. We are running the hard option front and the hard option rear. Maybe bump it up to power setting 3 and try and chase down the riders ahead of us. Of course, it's going to be a long race. There's still plenty of time left in this one. More than 12 laps still remain. So it's just a case of pushing forwards. But at the end of the day, the championship has already been decided. We have that in our back pocket. We just need to make sure we're focusing on the task at hand, and that is just to try and get ourselves back into the top 10 positions, or hopefully a little bit further beyond. But of course, Joe Roberts and Marcos Ramirez has had a pretty good start so far, even though he did collapse me going into turn 2. The right hand side for the Tyrrell corner, we just exceeded track limits once again, and then give old Fabio Di Giannantonio a big shove. The big don't argue to get out of the way. Of course, he did pick me up into turn 11, so consider that a repayment of aggressive gestures as we'll now try and pursue Joe Roberts and the American tenor racing Marcos Ramirez. Tell you what, this has been a tough race so far as Di Giannantonio comes up on the inside again. You've seen the difference in speed. When we're coming out of the corners, we are getting absolutely nothing. Regardless whether it's power setting 2 or 3, you'll get a better indication of it here as Fabio Di Giannantonio is just pulling away from us all the time. This is getting extremely difficult. We're quite strong going onto the right hand side for turn 11. The tighter apex certainly helps there, and we have teammate Xavi Vieje behind us. We are in the last point paying position in 15th place, of course, but 1 point extra in the championship is not really going to do as much, but I guess it doesn't really matter as I mentioned earlier. But still, we want to try and end on a high and the highest of highs, and that would be of course a race victory. But right now, Red Bull, KTM, IO are absolutely dominating at the front of this grid. Raul Fernandez, Gardner, Lowe's, all brilliant championship contenders in their own right. Remy Gardner, you feel, probably should have been the world champion this season, but Grant was just too strong. Now hard onto the brakes into turn 1. Left foot out for Di Giannantonio, and the same can be said for Grant just ahead, just behind him, sorry. As Xavi Vieje was just sort of feinted a lunge going into turn 1, but we'll try and go around the outside now of Di Giannantonio. He'll defend well as they just bump him on the inside. They're trying to get back through. I mean, this battle right now is not looking like a battle for 15th position. Oh, as we get with the inside now, and Nico Tyrrell back into turn 4, getting ahead of Fabio Di Giannantonio. Of course, Fabio Di Giannantonio is Aprilia bound next season in real life. He won't be doing that this year in video game format. But if the Aprilia is working well, it's definitely a bite to consider. But now onto the rear of Joe Roberts and still Marcos Ramirez coming underneath the Tissot sign. We might be able to have a chance going into Afflicción, or hopefully on the left hand side for turn 8, just as he runs it a little bit deep perhaps. Not quite. We don't seem to have that oomph coming out of the corner. We're back on the left-hand side again. We just touched the inside track again. That is a third track limit warning coming in for the Moto2 World Champion. The newly crowned double World Champion, of course. Moto3 World Champion last season, and now a Moto2 World Champion. But onto the right-hand side we go for Champi Herreros. We'll be able to get onto the left-hand side and potentially make a lunge going into turn 14 ahead of Marcos Ramirez. Onto the left-hand side we'll go, just briefly, of course. It's not a full lean angle. It's a small lean angle into a gentle lean, and then a full lean angle, then go. But now into power setting 3, right behind Marcos Ramirez, utilising a lot of speed. Across the line we will go. That is our fast lap of the race, but that is still half a second down to Sam Lowes' time, who's in third place right now. Jorge Martinez Aspar corner navigated pretty well. Manzi, Vietti, quite a battle ahead of us. There's a couple of riders in there we'd like to try and take advantage of. Stefano Manzi has run it wide going into McDoon corner, and Grant has taken advantage of that one, capitalising in an overtake which was never going to come as easy as that ever again. Onto the right-hand side we go for Nico Tirol. Teammate Jake Dixon's in there as well. He's having a decent race so far, but he is flying the flag for the Petronas SRT team right now. Of course, he's got his teammate just 2 positions behind, i.e. me. But onto the left-hand side we go. A little bit gentle there on the brakes for Angel Nieto. Probably could have braked a little bit later, but I didn't want to mess it up. Not got much confidence going on to the front end, especially after 2 crashes into turn 8 this weekend. Back onto the left-hand side we go, and you see the bike just sort of squirming under the brakes, being really gentle with it, but it still wants to buck and weave as much as it wants to. But onto the right-hand side now for turn 10, turn 11 to be navigated as well. There is the Italtrans rider of Joe Roberts. He's hanging around, waiting for a mistake, waiting for an opportunity to lunge up on the inside. Let's not give him a chance. Let's not give him a sniff. Let's not give him a little bit of a prayer of getting on through right now. Left-hand side we go for turn 13. Raul Fernandez, Gardner, Lowes is still your podium positions right now. Doesn't seem to have made a single change. Of course, for Remy Gardner's championship challenge, it would be better if he does finish in first place and takes a good chunk of points away from me, just so the deficit doesn't look so big at the end of the season. So no improvement on that time, of course, because it's quite obvious we made a big mistake going into the Angel Nieto corner earlier on. But onto the left-hand side we go now, up by 0.2 of a second, 0.3 it was just briefly, but I do believe that's because I ran it a little bit too hot going into turn 1. It's a second gap to Celestino Vietti, Dixon, and the riders ahead. I can't quite see who else is involved in that battle. I think Nicolo Bulaga might be in it as well. Can't quite see at the time being. Tony Arbolino is in there as well, and I can't really see anyone in between. Not sure where Marco Bezzecchi was. He was very good in the practice and qualifying sessions. I expect him to be up there within the top 5. But left-hand side, look at the rides. Look at Fabio Di Gianantonio round the outside into Angel Nieto. Beautifully done, but a little bit of contact on the exit. I'm going to push him back, though. He is certainly getting elbows out, if you will, as we go onto the left-hand side for turn 8. Make sure we don't run it in too wide, which I think we've just done it. And Di Gianantonio was taking advantage. Just what I thought was going to happen. I really didn't want it to happen, but unfortunately it did. Onto the right side we go. A little bit of contact there into Di Gianantonio. He's up onto the rumble strips. Will Joe Roberts try and find a way through? Doesn't look like he's made the move yet. There's no changes on the timing screen on the left-hand side, but God knows if that's going to happen once again. Will things calm down a little bit now? Can we evade Fabio Di Gianantonio and Joe Roberts? This is getting rather difficult, and for some strange reason, Valencia is such a great track and I always go well here. I am having a torrid race right now, down by 5 seconds to the 2 leaders in the front. The Red Bull KTM outfit once again showing why they won the team championship in there's about 19 rounds. I think they even won it the round before because they were just so dominant this season. But the Jorge Martinez Aspar corner beckons us once more for turn 1. Looks like Tony Arbolino is having a look over his shoulder to see where we are. But we have managed to close in, but we've ran it wide. We've ran it too wide going into McDoon. Is Di Gianantonio going to get on through? You better believe it. There is Joe Roberts as well. Almost clipped him coming on the back onto the track there. And now we're in a perilous position of potentially losing any points gained in this race. What a difficult Grand Prix as Stefano Manzi now wants to try and retake 13th place to work his way back forward. Really difficult race this has been so far. Not sure why. Because honestly, Valencia is one of my favourite tracks and I always go well here. And now all of a sudden, it's not looking to be the same, let's be honest. We're going into turn 8 onto the left-hand side we go. Of course, we need to be careful now. We do have 3 track limit warnings, so we cannot afford... Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness, I must have just jinxed myself. A 4th track limit warning coming to the way of the world champion. What a terrible, terrible Grand Prix this has been so far for the newly crowned champ. It's just not looking good. It's very, very bleak right now. It's going to be a one heck of an end to a season in the sense of a disappointment. But we're going to have to bounce back very, very strongly on Wednesday when we get back to it. But on the inside, back on the inside of Joe Roberts after he made a minor mistake, we are now back into 12th position, or at least close enough to. We're in power setting 3, we can't even get past him. This is crazy. This is absolutely mad. Why are we struggling so much? What has changed on this motorcycle? What have they changed to make it so much more harder? I'm enjoying the challenge, don't get me wrong, but if this was a championship, live championship right now, going at it, I would be freaking out, because there is no way we can beat Remy Gardner when we are this far back. But big respect to Remy Gardner for bouncing back after obviously losing the championship battle. He could potentially be taking a victory here today in Valencia. And take a look at that on your left hand side of your screen. Marco Bezzecchi, the man from Rimini, has now put himself up into 3rd position. So I did say he was looking good this weekend, and he's now found the podium. Whether he's going to turn that into something more special, like another position further up, or potentially a race victory, who knows? It is yet to be seen. But going into turn 8, again, another mistake coming in from the world champion. Not looking very, very promising here today. And we need to make sure we avoid the outside of the track, exceeding track limits as much as humanly possible. But there's been a mistake ahead of us. Who's gone down? Someone with a blue bike for some strange reason. It's Sam Lowes. Sam Lowes had a disaster. Come away from the podium, and he's now in 11th place. Terrible, terrible luck for Sam Lowes this season. I'm not sure whether Sam Lowes has just binned it or if he was in a bit of a skirmish with someone else, because it looked like someone else had gone down as we now try and take 2-for-1 riders going into the final corner. But Tony Arbolino was aggressive there. Power setting 3, let's try and get away from the Italian and the fellow Brit. It's going to be a bit of Warrington versus Lincolnshire once again between Sam Lowes and Matt Grant. But on the left hand side we go now for turn 1. We are into 10th position. This is really nothing to be proud of. Now, of course, if this was a MotoGP debut, finishing in the top 10 wouldn't be so bad, but I do think it was Bo Benschneider who was involved with the collision with Sam Lowes. Something has obviously occurred, because it was strange to see them both in that corner, not looking too promising. But what an aggressive move up at the inside of Fabio Di Giannantonio. What a battle between these two men. Di Giannantonio and Grant have been giving it 120% right now here today, just like the AI difficulty, of course. What on earth is going on here today? Just these two riders are just battling it out so much, so aggressively though, as if there was something serious on the line. Is Di Giannantonio just desperate to get on through? Does he just want to chuck one over on the world champion? Who knows what's going to happen? But going into turn 8, we are still 6 seconds behind Raul Fernandez now, as he's now taken the lead actually ahead of Remy Gardner. I did expect Remy Gardner to be winning this one, but Raul Fernandez obviously, after taking pole position, has got that extra more, a little bit more at least, of confidence. Now, even though we are battling for very, very minimal point-paying positions, I'm still having a great race nonetheless. I'm still really enjoying this one. It's been rather aggressive. It's been very, very, very competitive. And some of the riders in this one are just absolutely going for it. It's because it's almost as if they know it's the last race of the season and they can just go absolutely gung-ho. Of course, there's a lot of pride still at stake here, and there always is for motorbike racing. And somehow, on lap 8, we've set the fast lap of the race, a 1:34.432, and we are now right onto the rear of Jake Dixon, Ben Schneider and Celestino Vietti. This could be really, really interesting now. So into the left-hand side we go for Mick Doohan corner. Ben Schneider was super close to us there. I didn't want to touch his rear tyre and end up losing the front, or at least he would lose the front and then cause a bit of an issue. So onto the right-hand side we go now for Nico Tirol. We'll continue to try and chase them down, but after a little bit of a mistake there from us, I guess, it's kind of our fault. I did try and make the move around the outside, which I thought we might be able to get done. Just didn't quite materialise, unfortunately. But we still have them in our sights. Ben Schneider, Dixon, Vietti. It's very, very close. Some of the best riders in Moto 2 just going absolutely gung-ho. But we have managed to be able to close in on them after setting that fastest lap of the race just a moment ago. Ben Schneider and Dixon, he's looking very, very racy, Ben Schneider. After obviously something happened to him because he was so competitive and up there with some of the best riders, he has now fallen behind and he is eager to get on through the Petronas SRT rider ahead. In fact, he's in a bit of a Petronas Calyx sandwich right now with Dixon ahead of him. And Dixon's teammate Grant, 1 position behind Ben Schneider. I think that's Nikola Buliga a little bit further up the road as well. Not quite seen. I'll be able to get a good indication as we cross the line in a moment's time. As we now get into power setting 3, try and get in behind Ben Schneider and pick up some valuable slipstream. So across the line we will go. In fact, it doesn't change it anymore, does it? It doesn't give you the top 8, so never mind about that one. Hard on the brakes we go in for the Jorge Martinez Aspar corner. Dixon's now been pushed back to 8th place. I'll try and get through on them all. A little bit of contact there into the back of Ben Schneider. A little bit of gesticulation there from Grant as well. As we touch his rear tyre and he's gone down! Oh, Ben Schneider's down. Grant's race has now been scuppered. Absolutely awful look in this one. We are now trailing behind Sam Lowes. We trailed behind him quite a lot recently, actually, and now we're trailing behind him once again for this final round. So what a disaster. I mean, it looked like we were just doing some serious work there and making our way through and start having some good lap times. But unfortunately, that's all come crashing down. And I guess there really isn't much else to talk about now. We're down by 1 second to Sam Lowes. Marcel Schrotter's down behind us by 0.8 of a second. We will take the fast lap of the race, I think, but for the time being, I guess there's not really much else we can talk or do about now. Just continue to push forward and try and chase down Sam Lowes. I would still like to try and get one over on Sam Lowes. It's obviously been a battle of Britain between these two men all season long, with some phenomenal races between the pair of them. Race victories for both riders as well. Plenty of podiums for both people's hands. So I'd like to get back ahead of him because, of course, rule Britannia and rule Dot Race ahead of Sam Lowes. As we now go into turn 13 and turn 14, down by 2 seconds in this one, of course, after making a big mistake with Bo Ben Schneider. We are now trailing 8 seconds behind Raul Fernandez and Remy Gardner, but we'll get across the line and begin lap 11 of 13. Plenty of laps still left in this one for something to go wrong or something go well, but honestly, I think everything's already gone wrong already. The only goal now is just to try and finish in 10th place. Top 10 position is not going to be the end of the world. I guess we might be able to chase down Sam Lowes and a couple of riders ahead of him. If we chase down Sam Lowes, we'll have a shot at Di Gianantonio, Vietti, and I think Dixon's still in there as well. We'll be able to fight all of them now. So that's all we've got to do. Just get in behind Sam Lowes, take away some 10th of a second, and try and chase him down for the extra points. Or it's not much points, but it's still, the championship is already decided, and it's still good for the championship to finally finish with a nice chunky amount of points, rather than a thinner championship lead. Schrotter behind and Aaron Canet in 12th place as well. Not seen anything from Aaron Canet in this one. I think I've seen him on the starting grid, and that was about it. Didn't really see much of him after that. A little bit of a mistake going into turn 8 there. Don't know if you've noticed the bike just wobbling a little bit as we're now going to the right hand side. I've just cut the corner. Oh, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Track limit warning number 5. Grant has been given a long lap penalty on lap 11. Marcel Schrotter is now right onto the rear of us. I don't know whether I should just move out of his way, because at this point there's nothing, absolutely nothing to be gained from in this race. But Schrotter around the outside, that's brilliant. That's a fantastic move there from the German. And that's one of the best moves I've seen all season. Brilliantly done there from Marcel Schrotter. We'll get his slipstream on this penultimate lap and just try and get into turn 1 ahead of him and hold on to 11th place for as long as possible. 10th place now as we go into lap 12. Left hand side we go for Jorge Martinez Aspar. The podium position still looks to be pretty solid right now, with Raul Fernandez in first, Remy Gardner in second, and Marco Bezzecchi in third position. On the left hand side we go for the Mick Doohan corner. Sam Lowes, of course, is still ahead of us by 1.8 seconds now, 2 seconds, so there really isn't anything to get excited about. The main thing that we can take away from this one is that it's over. Moto 2 is done. We'll be doing MotoGP on Wednesday, which I really cannot wait for. It's going to be so difficult in our first season, but I'm excited. Hopefully I can do the winter testing. I'm not sure I'm going to do it yet, as I took quite a daring look behind me there and seen a ridiculous amount of lap time, riders behind us, and just read the word lap time, and it threw me off a little bit. We're going to turn 8 a little bit wide. Canet takes advantage, Schrotter takes advantage, and there is going to be our long lap penalty jumping in now. Break it in nice and smooth, get in there quite tight, and then make sure we don't ruin it, of course. And we ruined it. I can't believe that. I was just about to mention, pretty well done, and then all of a sudden made a mess. Joe Roberts is ahead of us as well. Something happened to the American. There's been a lot of surprising in this race. There's a lot of surprises for a lot of riders. But our biggest surprise now is we're going to have to do another long lap penalty, because that one was an absolute waste of time, because I absolutely blew it. What a mistake as we try and take 2 for 1 going into the Adrian Campos corner. Beautiful move up on the inside there as Simone Corsi as well. That's a somewhat for the books, I guess. You can put that in the overtake archive, but I guess at the same time, take out the long lap penalty archive, because, yeah, that was a absolutely atrocious long lap penalty. I felt like it was going to go a little bit smoother than that, but it really stopped halfway through and just went quite abrupt. But we'll now try and chase down Cameron Bobier and Lorenzo Baldassari. It's all immaterial though, because the second I get on through, they're just going to chuck it back in my face and get on through because of the long lap penalty. But onto the right hand side we go for the Nico Tirol corner. Nice aggressive move up on the inside of Baldassari. Now of course Baldassari and I had a good battle in Sepang during the qualifying session for some strange reason. Don't know why, but he just wouldn't give me an inch. He was coming out of the pits and still didn't give me an inch. He just didn't want it. He just did not want me to get through at any point. So I have no idea. Maybe Remy Gardner and Lorenzo Baldassari are in league with each other or something. I have no idea. So as you know, because we failed the long lap penalty on that previous lap time, right now on the final lap we must complete the long lap penalty. But honestly, it really doesn't matter right now. If we do the long lap penalty, we'll finish in the top, or at least bottom 20. If we take the 3-second penalty, we'll still finish in the bottom 20, so I guess it doesn't matter. Beautifully done on the second attempt though, and we are now down to 26th position. Absolutely awful, but shout out to Barry Baltus there, and there's Tony Arbolino. Something must have happened to that Italian as well. And speaking of Italian, he's got another one ahead of him with Lorenzo Dalla Porta. And we now dive over the inside of Tony Arbolino, and we might be able to finish in 24th position. Joe Robertson 22nd as well. Did not see that coming. Raul Fernandez wins, Remy Gardner in second, and Marco Bezzecchi third place. But the big story is Grant is your world champion. So we'll look at the race results. Fernandez wins from Gardner and Bezzecchi. Augusto Fernandez, Vietti all trailing by above 3 seconds and even 6 seconds to Celestino Vietti. And unbelievably difficult race for us, unbelievably difficult race for many, a lot of crashes, a lot of mistakes, and just a pretty bad finish to end the season and end Moto 2 for us. So the end of our Moto 2 World Championship is here, and this is the final standings. Grant wins with 318 points, 29 clear from Remy Gardner, and 50 points clear from Marco Bezzecchi. Raul Fernandez right at the death there, gets himself into 4th position, just 5 points ahead of Sam Lowes. Look at the team championship, and there's no surprise there. These guys have been dominant all season in the sense of the team. The Red Bull KTM IO riders win once again, a whole 73 points clear from Petronas Sprinter Racing and 165 clear from Mark VDS Racing Team. So there'll be no celebrations for Grant from this race, but one thing he can celebrate, and that is another World Championship. Matt Grant has done their business once again, and he is your Moto 2 World Champion. 7 Grand Prix victories, 13 podiums, and 8 pole positions this season for that man on your screen right now. The Sepang Racing Team are absolutely loving life right now with their fantastic rider. It is a shame that we're going to have to leave them behind, but of course maybe in the future we can rejoin them, but in MotoGP. And finally guys, I will leave you with the championship celebration. So guys, thank you very much for watching the videos as always. Really hope you enjoyed this season and enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment and subscribe, and get ready for Wednesday for more MotoGP. Thanks for watching, and ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite set your appetite, then why not watch some more Dot Race content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. consider subscribing so you don't miss a single Dr. Ace video.